Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Today's video is a little bit different than my usual videos. My husband's birthday was this past week and we took a little mini vacation and went out of town for a few days. So a few of these meals are meals out, but I still wanted to share them with you. I do have a What's for Dinner video playlist. It's always in my description box below. So you can check that out for, more normal type weeks for us and get lots of yummy dinner inspiration. All right, let's get into this week's meals. For dinner this first night, I made some club salads. We had quite a bit of fresh produce in our fridge and I wanted to use up as much of it as possible before we headed out of town. So I just kind of set everything out and we made the salads the way that we wanted them. I had a couple things of salad mix, some leftover broccoli, a cucumber, some cubed ham, mushrooms that were on the verge of going bad, some leftover shredded carrots, fried onions, fried jalapenos, some sun-dried tomatoes, grape or cherry tomatoes, some shredded cheese, croutons, and then some leftover homemade ranch and honey mustard salad dressings. And here are the plates. We each just assembled them however we wanted them. This was such a quick and easy dinner to put together and really yummy. The next day was Easter. My mom and dad and siblings came over for Easter dinner. Now, I've shared how I make my ham before on my channel. I'll have a video linked in the description box below. I'm making the ham pretty much the same way. I'm just going to change up one little ingredient. So for the ham glaze, I like to use honey, brown sugar, and Dijon mustard. And normally I use a little water or pineapple juice. But recently I saw Sammy over on Managing the Maze make a ham glaze where she used Coca-Cola. And I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? So I used that today and it was delicious. I'll definitely use that again. All I'm going to do is place a crock pot liner in my crock pot. You can, of course, cook this in the oven. I like to cook hams on the holidays in the crock pot, though. I don't have to babysit it, and it leaves the oven available for me to cook sides. But back to the crock pot liner. I don't use these all the time, but for things like this where I have this glaze, I like to use it just so cleaning the crock pot isn't a complete disaster. But I'm going to place the crock pot liner in, place my ham in, mix up my glaze, brush the glaze over top of the ham, cover it with a lid, and I cooked it on low for about 4 to 5 hours. Hams that I've always bought anyway will normally have a temperature on there that they say to warm it up to, so just make sure that you follow whatever directions are on the ham that you purchase. So here are the dishes that I made. First, I made just a vegetable tray. I had all these vegetables on hand, some grape tomatoes, cucumber, radishes, broccoli, and carrots with some homemade ranch dressing. This little bunny plate, I shared it in my Easter appetizers video. I had a lot of people ask me where I got it. I got it from Target. And next I made some deviled eggs. I've shared how I make these before on my channel. I'll have that video linked below. Basically just hard-boiled eggs, mayonnaise, mustard, relish, and some paprika. I made potato salad. Again, I've shared this. It's the same video as my deviled eggs, which again will be linked down below. Just basically cooked russet potatoes, some diced onion, diced hard-boiled egg, mayonnaise, mustard, and relish. And I like to garnish with a little paprika. Next to the potato salad is a little bit of 3-bean salad. My husband requested this. I know I've shared it before on my channel. I just can't remember offhand what video it was in. I'll try to find it and link it below. But I basically just take canned 3-bean salad, drain it really well, add it to a bowl, add in some Italian dressing, little garlic powder, salt and pepper, give it a stir, and then I place it into the refrigerator covered until it's ready to serve. And then we, of course, have the ham. This was a spiral cut ham, so I didn't really have to slice it up or anything. I just put it out on the tray. Next, I've got some rolls in butter. These are just the Sister Schubert rolls that I bought at Sam's Club. Just cooked them according to the package instructions. I made some roasted Brussels sprouts. I've shared this several times before. I just take Brussels sprouts, toss them with some salt, pepper, olive oil, garlic powder, and some chopped up bacon. I bake them in the oven. The temperature that I bake them at really just depends on what else I'm cooking at the time. I cook them until they're tender and roasted. And then once I pull them out of the oven, I toss them with a little balsamic vinegar. They're so, so delicious. Next, I made a pineapple casserole. I made this once a couple years ago, and loved it. My sister loves it as well, so I wanted to make sure to make it. If you've never had it before, I know it will sound really, really weird. You basically just take pineapple, you mix it with some flour, pineapple juice, sugar, some crushed Ritz crackers. You place it in a greased casserole dish, top it with some buttered Ritz crackers, bake it in the oven. I know it sounds weird, but you gotta try it. It is delicious with ham. So, so good. Next to the pineapple casserole, I made some macaroni and cheese. I've shared this once before. This is a Copycat Stouffers macaroni and cheese recipe. I got this from Jess over at Jess and the Boys. It's so easy and it's delicious. I used some of the Easter shaped pasta that I found at Aldi. And then there in the back are some baked beans that my mom made. She was worried about these because she realized when she went to make them that she didn't have any strips of bacon. And so she used crumbled bacon pieces. She was worried it wouldn't be good, but it was yummy. I think I'll make baked beans that way from now on. It was really nice because you didn't have to fight with like the strips of bacon and you got bacon in every bite. All right, here is a picture of my plate. I tried to get a little bit of everything, and then you'll see a second plate here in just a second. Not because I got so much food, but if you can tell, most of my food are in little piles and most of it isn't touching. Some people have noticed that before on my videos and will comment about it. I get teased a lot about it. I have my whole life. Everybody always says it ends up in the same place, but for most of my foods, I cannot stand for them to touch. I don't know what it is about it. Like, it physically makes me ill to think about most foods touching. Now, I do have OCD, and I don't say that lightly. Like, I've actually been medically diagnosed. I take medication for it. So I don't know if that's part of it, but yeah, you'll notice that you can always kind of tell my plates from my husband's. My food, you know, unless it's meant to be together, my food rarely touches, but my husband, he mixes everything together. But this was so, so yummy. And then for dessert, I made a peach cobbler. It's basically the cuppa recipe, if you're familiar with that, like a cup of milk, cup of sugar, cup of flour. But instead of using flour, I used pancake mix. My dad makes it that way. It's a great way to use up leftover pancake mix. We had that with some vanilla ice cream. Delicious. So yummy. For dinner the next night, I made crispy orange chicken bowls. This is a Copycat Applebee's recipe. They took this off the menu years ago. They bring it back every once in a while. I think it's back now, but I haven't had it since they permanently removed it from the menu. So I don't know if, you know, what's out now tastes the way that it used to. But this is one of my favorite dishes. Now, you can, of course, take chicken, batter, and fry it. I'll link the recipe that I use in the description box below. But just to make it easier, I've mentioned before on my channel, I hate deep frying foods. If I can avoid it, I do. So just to make it easier, I like to use this Tyson popcorn chicken. I'm going to cook the chicken in the air fryer. While I do that though, I'm going to make the sauce for the orange chicken. Now this is really easy to put together. It's delicious. I recommend you give it a try, but if you're just wanting, you know, a quick and easy dinner, you can always just use bottled orange sauce. That's fine. I think P.F. Chang's makes one, and there are a couple other brands. You can just use that if you prefer. So to this pot, I've added some oil. This is on about medium heat. Once the oil is hot, I'm going to add some minced garlic and cook that for about 30 seconds to a minute. After that's cooked, I'm going to add the remaining ingredients. So I'm going to add the hoisin sauce, the orange zest, orange juice, a dash of cayenne pepper, sugar, and salt and pepper to taste. Once I've added everything, I'm going to whisk it until it's combined really well. I'm going to boil this for about 3 minutes, stirring it pretty constantly, and then I'm going to turn the heat down and simmer the sauce until it is as thick as what you would like it. So to go along with the bowl, I'm using this bag of frozen Asian medley vegetables. You can, of course, use fresh vegetables if you'd like. I'm just going to pop this in the microwave and cook it according to the package instructions. We also need some rice for our orange chicken bowl. I'm just using white rice. I like to cook it in my rice cooker. I've also made this using brown rice. You could use frozen or microwavable rice. You could also use cauliflower rice, I'm sure, as well. All right, here are the frozen vegetables. Once they came out of the microwave, I tossed them with a little bit of salt and pepper. And again, I cooked the popcorn chicken in my air fryer. I cooked it at 400 degrees, I think for about 10 to 12 minutes, and shook the basket halfway through. All right, so I'm going to assemble my bowls. I'm adding my popcorn chicken. I almost said shrimp for some reason. I'm adding my popcorn chicken. Gosh, I almost said shrimp again. Then I'm going to toss the sauce with the chicken and then set that to the side. To the bowls, I'm adding a layer of rice, and then I'm going to add a layer of the vegetables. Next, I'm going to add my chicken. And a quick note here, Applebee's, the way they used to anyway, like I said, I haven't had it since they brought this back, but they used to add red bell peppers. I don't really love those, always pick them out when I get this, so when I make it at home, I just don't use them. And then I normally add mushrooms. I didn't have any on hand today though, so I skipped those. Now for garnish, I like to add a little extra of the glaze along with some sliced almonds. Applebee uses sliced almonds, and they also use those like crispy noodles, which I didn't have any on hand either, but that's fine. This was still delicious. I love these. These are so easy to put together. Yummy, yummy. For dinner the next night, I made meatball subs. I had a few things on hand that I wanted to use up. So I'd made some barbecue meatballs, I don't know, a month or so ago, and I had just a few left in this package, not enough to really make like meatballs with, but I figured it'd be great for subs. I had 2 of these Lewis steak rolls and then just 2 slices of provolone cheese. So I placed the meatballs into my air fryer basket. You can cook these however you want. This was just quick and easy. I cooked these at I think 350 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then whenever I make meatball subs, I like to cut the meatballs in half. You totally don't have to do that whatsoever. I just feel like they're easier to eat that way. So once the meatballs were done, I sliced them in half, added them to this pot. I didn't have any marinara sauce on hand, but I did have pizza sauce. So I just used that and doctored it up with a little salt, pepper, and some Italian seasoning with garlic powder. And I just simmered those for a few minutes while I was getting everything else ready. A week or 2 ago, Valerie from Life with Valerie, I'll have her channel linked in the description box below. She made garlic bread meatball subs and they just sounded delicious. So I took some of this Chef Chamois butter. I got this at Sam's Club. I melted it. I brushed it on the rolls. I'm going to add the provolone cheese, and then I popped these into the air fryer on 350 degrees for just about 3 to 4 minutes until the bread was toasted and the cheese was melted. I then added some of the meatballs along with a little sauce and just made some quick side salads. These were delicious. I will definitely use like garlic butter on meatball subs going forward. They were so yummy. For dinner the next night, I did not feel like cooking. We were leaving to go out of town the next day, and I'd been doing laundry and cleaning all day and working, and my husband had been working, you know, to try to get everything caught up so where he could go out of town and not have to worry about it. And we were kind of commencing my husband's birthday weekend, and he loves him some sushi. So we ordered Sushi Take-Out. There's a place here in town. They have a like a deal where you can get 3 sushi rolls, a miso soup, and their salad with ginger dressing, and it's like $18, something like that. So it's a really good deal. So we got that for him, and then for me, I got one of their crunchy shrimp rolls, and then we got a California roll and just kind of split it, and then we got an egg roll, and that was dinner this night. And this sushi was delicious. So good. For dinner the next night, we had dinner out. So we'd been traveling this day, and we'd gotten checked into the cabin and gotten everything unloaded, and we just decided to run and grab some crystals. We don't really have a crystals near us, and we haven't had it in forever, and it just kind of sounded good to us. If you've never had crystals, they're just little sliders, very similar to White Castle. So we just got some crystals with their corn pups. Their corn pups are delicious. They are so good. And then a couple crystal chicks with some chili cheese fries. We just snacked on that and then had the leftovers for lunch the next day. I've mentioned before, we live in the Nashville area. We love going to like the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area, but since the pandemic, I've had a hard time finding cabins available. They seem to be rented out pretty far in advance. But a few years ago, we just happened to find out about this place in like northeast Georgia called Ellijay and Blue Ridge, and it's the Blue Ridge Mountains. They have a scenic railway, and they remind me a lot of Gatlinburg. They both have like little town squares or little strips where they have like antique shops and other little shops and restaurants that you can go into, and they're not anywhere near as touristy as like Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. So if you're anywhere kind of in that area, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, even the Carolinas, and you're kind of looking for somewhere like Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge, I would highly recommend you all give that a try. But anyway, we went there, just rented a cabin, hung out for several days for my husband's birthday. He loved it. Absolutely loved it. All right, so for dinner the next night, we tried a new restaurant that we hadn't been to before. It's called Whiskey and Water. It was in Blue Ridge. Hands down, one of the best meals we've ever had. It was delicious. All right, here's what we got. This was a little bit of a splurge. It was the day before my husband's birthday, and he had slept in super late this day. He got up like around noon, and we did a really early dinner, so we ate around like 3:30, so we were kind of combining dinner and lunch together. But to get started, he ordered a half dozen raw oysters, and then we ordered their shrimp cocktail. This shrimp cocktail may not look like much. It was amazing. They like perfectly poached the shrimp in butter. It was super tender, and then they tossed it with herbs and garlic and olive oil, and then of course like the homemade cocktail sauce. And then we had a blue crab dip with pita chips. The pita chips were amazing. For our entrees, I got their lobster cannelloni. It was delicious. I was worried it would be super heavy, but it wasn't at all. The sauce was like a really light cream sauce, so it was delicious. And then my husband, he got their black miso cod, and it had bok choy and ramen noodles. It was delicious. He let me have a little bite of his. It was so good. I've never had anything like that before, but this meal was amazing. So good. All right, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I know it was several meals eating out while we were out of town. Hopefully you still got some dinner inspiration. Like I said before, I'll have my What's for Dinner video playlist linked in the description box below. I hope that you like this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.